Good morning, coffee friends. Today we have another brew guide for you looking at the Moka Pot, a traditional Italian coffee maker. What makes this brewer unique and how can you utilize it to make the best coffee possible? I'll be walking through two different techniques that I use to brew with the Moka Pot, and be sure to stick around for the second one because I'll be debunking some common myths that people have when brewing with this brewer. So let's hop into it. Hello, my name is Stephen Holm and I am with HomeGrounds. Our mission is to help you brew better coffee right at home. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop us a comment down below and let us know what type of videos you'd like to see. So like I said, today we are looking at the Moka Pot. This one is a Bialetti 3-cup. Bialetti is a traditional manufacturer of these coffee makers and they have a wide range of sizes. Moka pots have sparked a bit of a controversy in the coffee world because a lot of people claim that they will make stovetop espresso because they're capable of producing a very strong small cup of coffee, while others will say that it's not actually espresso because espresso can only come from a dedicated machine capable of producing 9 bars of pressure. We are not here to sway you either way. Espresso is just a word, so let's just all get along. This brewer is composed of 3 different parts. This is the chamber for holding water. On the inside of here is a fill line that you shouldn't go past because this is a pressure release valve, and if you're covering that, then this could explode maybe. Next, we have this middle portion which is just gonna hold your coffee in it. You have this funnel at the bottom that just sits in here. This last portion is just where your coffee is going to be flowing up into this chamber right up here. Now underneath here is a gasket and a filter, and something that I've noticed a lot of people don't realize is those actually come out and you should be cleaning those frequently. One of my favorite parts of brewing with a Moka Pot is you don't need a lot of equipment. You just need the brewer, a grinder if you're going to be using whole bean coffee and grinding fresh, which you should be, and a heat source. Just make sure that the Moka Pot you buy is compatible with your stovetop. So let's jump over to the stove and check out brew method number 1. Now this first method that we'll be doing is a very traditional Moka Pot recipe. If you brewed with one of these before, it's probably pretty similar to what you've done. To start off with, I've just filled the bottom chamber with water up to the fill line. If you're curious, it's about 140 grams of water. And just to show you that you don't need any more special equipment, I'm just gonna heat the water up here right on my stovetop. This method is great because it doesn't require any special tools. You don't even need a scale. You just really need the brewer, water, a heat source, and freshly ground coffee. While that water's heating up, I have ground up about 18 grams of coffee, ground on the finest setting possible that my Baratza Encore can go. This is about the grind size that I liked. It's not super fine because a lot of people say that if you grind too fine, like espresso quality grind, that it could choke up the brewer and maybe even explode, but I didn't have that happen to me. My Baratza Encore cannot grind for espresso, so I just went as fine as possible and found this grind setting was pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the grounds chamber and just put this in here. And as you can see, that filled it up pretty much all the way to the top. I'm just gonna tap on the sides to let the ground settle a little bit. I would heat this water up right until you see it start boiling, which for me is right now. Now you're gonna put this together. Make sure to grab a towel or something because obviously this metal is gonna be hot and you don't wanna touch that with your bare hands. Screw that on. Leave this lid open. Turn my gas on and let it go. So you can see coffee is starting to flow out of the top, and as soon as I start to hear it start gurgling at me, I'm gonna close this, turn off the heat, and pull it off. That's important because you don't want to keep burning the coffee. A lot of people also recommend running this under cold water as soon as you hear that gurgling sound, just as long as you're getting that brewer off a heat source immediately. You're all set. And that's it. You already have a nice, small, strong cup of coffee ready for you. Now with this 3-cup Moka Pot, it obviously doesn't produce that much coffee. This mug is about halfway full, and this is probably about a 10-ounce mug. If I'm making this method, I'll usually dilute this a little bit because it's pretty strong. It's not quite espresso strong, but I like to dilute it a little bit with some more hot water just to bring it up to about the same level as a filtered coffee. You could also use this as a base for other drinks, like a latte or a cappuccino or even a cafe cubano. If you'd like to see any of those tutorials, let us know in the comments down below. Alright, now on to the second method. I have my water heating up. I filled it up again to the fill line, so 140 grams of water. But this time I've ground 14 grams of coffee on a slightly coarser grind. On my Baratza Encore, I really only moved it about 3 clicks, which isn't a whole lot, but just a little bit coarser, and I'll explain why a little later. Alright, now my water's heated up, so I'm gonna go ahead and add these 14 grams of coffee to the basket here. Settle that, get them nice and even. Now for this method, we're gonna turn our heat on once again, but bring it down to the lowest heat setting possible. Make sure that's set in the middle, open the top, and wait. So as you can see down here, I barely have the flame on, so obviously this brew is gonna take a little bit longer to finish, but I promise it is worth it. And there we go. For this one as well, we are going to pull it off as soon as we hear the hissing, which is now. So now let's hop back over to the table and I'll explain why I like brewing with this method. Now the second brew method came about by us finding out that by lowering the heat setting, you're actually going to have more contact time between the water and the coffee grounds, thereby extracting more out of them. So if we were to use the same higher dose and extra fine grinds, this cup would be even more strong and barely drinkable, at least in my preferences. So by lowering down on that dose to 14 grams and grinding slightly coarser than in this one, we were able to achieve something more similar to, say, a filter coffee or a French press. So those are our 2 methods for brewing with the Moka Pot. We hope that they were helpful for you if you already own one, and if you don't, be sure to check out the link in the description below to pick up a Moka Pot for yourself. Until next time, happy brewing.